Today, this video will be about the time Rebecca ran on Dunkin'. I worked for Dunkin' for a total of, I want to say about 5 to 6 years. And it was the longest job I've ever had. And I worked at several different stores because me and Dunkin' had a relationship, like a bad relationship. You know, you just keep breaking up, but you keep getting back together because you think it's going to be different. That was me and Dunkin'. And to be honest, I really, really loved working at Dunkin'. Dunkin' is like the easiest job I've ever had. If you want an easy job and you just trying to get through before you make your dreams come true and you're up on Broadway, go to Dunkin'. It's kind of hard for me to give you an insight on how the training was and things like that because I was at so many different stores. The training was really, really different. And the thing about Dunkin', and this is actually the reason why ultimately I had to go, most Dunkins, about 97% of Dunkin' Donuts are franchised. Franchising is a wonderful thing for a business because, you know, you can expand and anybody can own, you know, one of your names. You know, they have to follow certain criteria when it comes to things like that. But it allows, you know, someone to be, you know, they're an owner of the brand. The problem with that is most franchisees, unless they're doing really, really well and they have many, many stores, or they're, you know, successful going into this business, they're just really not going to offer you anything as an employee. And unfortunately, at least in my experience, every single franchise I worked for did not have any sort of good employee benefit package. There was just nothing. Actually, literally today I was looking through jobs, and there was a Dunkin' Donuts hiring that was a franchise, and literally the benefits, they had little benefits and then like 2 dots, and the only benefit they offered was an employee referral program, which no one ever uses. You know, you use medical insurance, you use time off, vacation, sick. But no, the only thing they had was an employee referral program. And I just laughed and just kept scrolling. That's my biggest problem with just Dunkin' Donuts in general. Is just, unfortunately, you shouldn't expect too much if you're working for a franchise, especially if you're working for a small franchise. And for me, when I started out, I can't really remember how big the franchise was. For me, that one was very different too because I was at that store for a while and I went through various stages. So I started off part-time, then went to full-time. Then I became an overnight manager. Then I became a daytime manager. And it was just... It was actually the first time I did become a manager. The reason I don't count it as the real legit first time, because my first time, to be honest, was Starbucks. And the reason why I consider Starbucks my first time is because I worked real hard for that job and I didn't have to give them an ultimatum, which Dunkin' I did. I was working just, you know, my normal daytime hours, and I had just been fed up. I had been with the company for, you know, almost 3 years. I just wasn't getting anywhere. We were changing owners. I went through another manager, and finally I was done. And I just remember telling my boss, you know, I've just been working really hard on this to try and get a promotion. I haven't gotten anything, and I'm just over it. And she was so desperate to keep me that she gave me an overnight position as a manager. And I was just like, okay. At the time, for me, it worked perfect. I was younger. So for me, it was perfect to work overnight. I'd already stayed late. I was conditioned. Been there, done that. I was so used to staying up late and overnight that I was just like, this is no biggie. And so I said, sure, no problem. And literally the only thing you do at night is you bake, you dress the donuts, and you just have to get the case ready before open, which... It sounds easy, but it just depends on how your Dunkin' functions. So there's 2 different ways Dunkin' Donuts will get you your donuts. You will either have a company that will bring the donuts to you every night at about, I think it's usually like 12 or 1 o'clock. You'll have just the cart donut guy bring you this huge cart of donuts that are wrapped in plastic wrap. And if that's not what you're getting, then your donuts are frozen and you're literally just taking them out. You're waiting until they thaw, and then you're dressing them. Now, most of you are probably thinking, ew, thawed? But thawed actually would be a better option. 1, because you know exactly where your donuts are. Two, they're just literally baked and then they're frozen and they're shipped to you. So it's just a lot easier as far as like food safety wise, because I mean, with the ones that are being shipped to you, you have no idea who's touched them, who made them, if the facility is clean. And then, like I said, they're wrapped in plastic wrap, and a lot of times I found bugs still on the donuts. So trust me when I say frozen is the best choice. Not only that, but just the simple fact that you could take out more donuts and you could basically make it so that you never really run out of people's favorites. And the donuts tend to stay a lot more softer and chewier throughout the day versus when you get your donuts shipped to you, they do tend to get stale at about, 12, 1, 2. You get my point. The first Dunkin' that I worked at, we got our donuts shipped to us. And so it was a battle because, actually, so two different things. So as a overnight store manager, as an overnight shift, I had to put away the order, which sucked because they would literally stock. Okay, let me try and give you a vision. Not much space, let's just say that. Like, it's literally a typical walk-in freezer. They would stack the boxes in the freezer, and I almost couldn't get in there. So a lot of times I would have to squeeze myself in and slowly put things away, and then obviously make more space as I go. I had to bring boxes out sometimes. It was two different ways. So it was a walk-in fridge, a big walk-in fridge, and then connected to the walk-in fridge was the walk-in freezer. So I would have to go in the walk-in fridge and I'd have to go in the freezer. I would literally have to like bulk up because I would spend almost 30 to 45 minutes in the freezer just putting away stuff. My hands would be like frozen. I had to wear gloves. I had to wear a hat. And I just had to put things away as fast as possible before freezing to death. And sometimes it was good. It wasn't too bad. Other times it was crazy. Literally could not get in the freezer. I had to take out so much, and it would take away from me being able to do, my actual job, which was get the case ready. And then sometimes my donut people wouldn't come until super late. Sometimes they come at 3:00, and that only left me with about 3 hours to get those donuts ready. And most of you are thinking, it's not that bad. It really is. There's first of all, Dunkin' Donuts offers about 52 varieties of donuts. Depending on what franchise you work at. And then, so the glaze usually came glazed. All the donuts that were glazed came glazed. But then you had to make the frosted. You had to make strawberry, maple, if your franchise offered it, white frosting, sprinkled. Did I say chocolate? Chocolate, strawberry. Then you had to make all the stuffed donuts. So you had to make a stuffed lemon, Bavarian cream, Boston cream, which is Bavarian cream inside and then the chocolate frosting on top, my favorite. You had to do strawberry filling or jelly. Jelly is like everyone's favorite. And then you made two different kinds of jelly. So depending on what your franchise offered, you can either do the powdered jelly or the sugar jelly. And then when they introduced munchkins was the same thing. So if you made little munchkins that were filled, that was me. I was filling your munchkins. You have to fill up the munchkins, you have to powder them, all that stuff. And then on top of that, we had the other stuff, the powdered donuts, the sugared donuts. It's a hot mess. And there's a lot of things to do. And typically you're making about 4 to 5 trays of each of these different donuts. So yeah, time goes by really fast. So that was my major struggle as an overnight manager, but I loved it. It was actually really fun, and I loved doing it. I loved having my own solitude so we used to have 2 people that would help. It would be me and another person that I was managing. But then I guess they didn't have enough money. So it ended up just being me doing everything. And so I was literally in my own realm. I could be by myself, not have to worry about anybody, do my job. If I wanted to have make myself some hash browns, I made myself some hash browns. I made myself a coffee. It was the best job ever. As long as you did what you had to do, you were good. You were meant. And so that was that. I love that. But then I ended up having to move. So I went ahead and moved, and I went to a different part of town or whatever, different state, sorry. My first Dunkin' had a Baskin Robbins in it. And so a lot of them can either come by themselves or they'll come with Baskin Robbins. And Baskin Robbins honestly wasn't bad. You know, we did the sampling, or we would do scoops. There was a certain amount of scoops that we can put, and then of course you had to fight with people about, no, that's how much scoop you get. You're not getting another scoop. You're not getting another ounce. That's exactly how much you're getting. And then making like smoothies or shakes, like that wasn't bad either. The best flavor ice cream, either pistachio or their Love Potion. Love Potion number, I think it's Love Potion number 9. It's something like that. It's like one of their Valentine flavors, and it's raspberry with vanilla. I think it's like vanilla or raspberry, and it has bits of, you know, raspberry in it, but then it's got small little chocolate hearts. When I tell you that this ice cream, I would have died by this ice cream, and I would have died a happy girl. It is the most delicious ice cream that I think I've ever had in my life, and it may not be for you, and that's okay. It was delicious. It was just amazing. It was raspberry and chocolate and vanilla. So many different freaking flavors. I mean, it was so good. And that was actually the one thing too. Baskin Robbins, every month we'd have a ice cream of the month. And yo, they be coming out with some great stuff. Like, some amazing stuff. And we had like their basic flavors, but every now and then we'd also have some of their specialty flavors. And that Love Potion was a specialty flavor that ended up being a flavor that we kept. I don't know why, but it was like a gift from Jesus. As you can see, this is the size. This is all Dunkin right here, okay? This is Dunkin, an ice cream. But I had, my favorite was literally a scoop of the pistachio and a scoop of the Love Potion. I'm getting way off topic, but I'm telling you, if you ever want, you should go try it. It is so good. Back to the story. So, but yeah, even with a little Baskin Robbins in it, it was still one of the best jobs I ever had. So, fast forward. So back to the little store. So I worked at a little store. It wasn't bad. The layout was weird. Nothing eventful really happened in that Dunkin'. That's probably why I don't remember it too much. And they did not have an overnight person. That's what I remember. So literally the morning people would come and do all that. And that's like, woo, that's crazy. Somebody would come like at 3, almost 4 o'clock and like do all the donuts, and it was crazy. But it was like I think it was like a couple that owned it, like a cute little old couple. And apparently they were like really like, they would come in and a lot very often. I never met them the entire time I was there. But it wasn't a bad store though. It was pretty decent. The final, my final tour of Dunkin', I worked at a Dunkin' that was actually, I think, one of the bigger franchises in that area, at least. I had gotten in as a chef. I was doing morning shifts, which is different for me because I wasn't really accustomed to doing mornings, but I had an opportunity to do mornings, and I was like, I can do this. And the manager was a young girl, I will say. I think she was like 22, 23. She was really young. And at first, everything was cool. Super cool. Everybody was super cool. Everybody was chill. Everything was great. Loved it. I was living with my dad at the time. And so I had no car. And so I was using his car to get to my job. So before I came in, I let her know everything. You know, I have no car. I'm using my dad's car. I'm on a tight schedule. You know, but I can. And at the time, my dad had a lot of cars. So it was like I could make it there. But, you know what I mean? It wasn't my car. So it just depended. And so she said she was cool with it. Everything was fine. And for a while it was. Then the crazy happened. She wanted us to have mandatory shift meetings and mandatory store meetings every single week. So I had 2 mandatory meetings that I needed to be at every single week on top of working my normal shift. I have never had a job like that where they required me to have 2 meetings like that. I don't know if that's normal where you guys work, but for me, that was not normal. And on top of that, she knew I had a reason for why I couldn't come. Why I would maybe not be available. But she still expected me, no matter what, to be there, even though she had said she was okay with me not. You know what I mean? Like, she understood that I didn't have a decent transportation. I made all my shifts. I never missed a day. But the whole having to go to meetings was becoming too much. And she always wanted me to be there. But she was totally okay with another shift of hers missing meetings constantly left and right. It just got to a point where literally and she would schedule them on my days off. So it was like I literally wasn't getting a day off. At one point, finally, like I had called her. I was on my day off. And I called her and I said, listen, something happened. I won't be able to make it in, I'm sorry. And she's like, you need to make it here. Like, you've been missing meetings left and right. And, these are mandatory meetings. You have to be there. It doesn't look good that one of my supervisors isn't showing up. And I said, I'm sorry, but I told you what the situation was before you hired me. You said you were okay with it. And I'm doing the best that I can. Not only that, but you tend to schedule these on my days off. And so it's like, I really don't have a day off. 2 meetings is a lot. I can understand getting to the shift meeting, but to have to always go to the store meeting, and when I tell you, we literally were discussing the same crap. It was nothing different. It just made no sense to me. And it wasn't like I feel like this was something she was doing. It wasn't something that actually like the franchise wanted her to do. This was literally her. Keep in mind too that she also missed a lot of work due to her having a child, but whatever. Or she'd leave early, things like that. So she was just like, well, you're expected to be here and I just don't know what's going to happen if you can't continue to make it. And I said, whoa. I said, I'm sorry, but I find it to be a little unfair that you want me to constantly be there and show up, but you're okay with, I don't remember her name, you're okay with her not showing up, and missing work because she has a kid. And I don't think that that's fair. And she blew up on me. She was highly unprofessional and super mean, super rude. She was yelling at me. She wouldn't let me talk. I was talking to her calm the entire time until she like really set me off, and then I lost it, and then I was yelling at her, and then it was just literally me and her just yelling at each other because she could not, and she was so rude about the whole thing. She's like, how dare you? She's my shift. And I'm like, I'm your shift too. Like, what? I said, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm literally just trying to get... Jesus. I'm literally just trying to get you to understand that the way that you're behaving is very unfair. You're showing favoritism and it's not right. And she's just like, how dare you? You should not talk. You will not talk about my shift like that. And I said, I'm your shift too. Like, and she was like, no, it's you. And she just like kept going off. And finally, she said... and I quote, you need to shut up right now if you want your job. No, that's okay. You can keep that job. I don't want it. Like, who says that? What professional manager, anybody, you need to shut up if you want your job? And I was like, no, you can keep that fucking job. I don't want it. I quit. And I hung up the phone on her. And that was it. That was the last I ever worked at Dunkin. I didn't have a sweet, tearful goodbye for Dunkin because that's what happened. And so unfortunately, after that, I was like, I'm good. I really am. I had no desire to go back to a Dunkin. It was just too much. It was the constant having to deal with not getting anything. Like I said, with franchises, that's unfortunately the risk you take with working for a franchise. You're either looking at not getting any benefits or you're looking at getting very minimal benefits. You're also not looking at getting paid what averagely most people will get paid just because they don't have the funds. But it's a shame because I freaking loved working there. I loved working there. I enjoyed it so much. And for me, I enjoyed it a lot because I get to dress the donuts and I'm very artsy. So that was my ish. But it was just fun. It was super easy. Like, everything in Dunkin' is made for quickness. So there's a cream machine. It has small, medium, large, extra large. And then you just literally press the button and the right amount dispenses into your cup. Same thing for sugar, small, medium, large. If you want extra large, you press large twice. And then, or it has numbers, so 2, 3, 4 creams, things like that. Or like, I think it's like 5 sugars, and it's a button and you just press it. Then the sugar-free machine, they had a sugar-free machine with sugar-free syrups. You press the button, boom, where it dispenses. The latte machine It had an espresso, and then it had like a little steaming one so you could make the latte. We didn't do it like, it wasn't like Starbucks where you have to love it and craft it before you give it away. It's like literally like and you put the steam one down and you leave it. You walk away, you get whatever else you need to get. Latte's done, cap it, and just take it. Everything is super simple there. The culotta machine, same thing. You pour what you need in the cup, you stir it, not the proper motion, but if I had a cup in my hand, there you go. That's prop. Put the little thing in there, you stir it up for like 5 seconds. It turns into boom, culotta in 5 seconds, and whipped cream it, and you're good. It's a super simple, the hot chocolate machine, that's a button. You put all that in, you put your cup under, you press Dunkachino, hot chocolate. I think those are the 2 options. There might be another option I'm not thinking of, but it's, you press button, done. The vanilla chai was a packet, so you would rip the packet, pour it in the cup, put your milk in the steam pitcher, and just steam it up, put it in the steamer. Everything was super simple there. It's super, super simple. The most challenging thing you're probably going to have to do at Dunkin' would literally be just food station, just because, you know, you're heating up several different items at a time. You have to put everything together. That's probably the most challenging. Getting donuts is super easy. When the dozen, you just grab it, a little tissue, just super simple. Like I said, the easiest job I've ever had. And it was fun because it was easy and it wasn't so complicated and you have to think too hard. It was just like doo, 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 and everything's done. But yeah, that was my story of when I worked at Dunkin Donuts, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, other than the craziness that occurred at my last one. But I would highly recommend it for anybody that is looking for, you know, an extra job. If you're just looking for an extra job to make extra money, it's a really fun job. And I had really, really good customers. And I had some really nasty customers. Here's a bonus. I'll give you a really nasty story. So, it's not nasty, but it's creepy. So, at my first Dunkin', I used to work afternoons a lot. And I would get my, you know, go home crowd. And there used to be when I say old, I mean, this guy, like, he looked like he was dead. He was so old. Like, intense wrinkles. So old. Like, his skin was just so old. Anyways, he was this decrepit old man that would come in every single day, almost at the same time, get the same drink, extra large hot coffee. I believe it was cream and sugar, or if not, it was black with sugar, one of those. And every single time I saw him and I said hi to him and I passed him his coffee, he would look at me dead in the face and say, "You got a pretty mouth." And I mean, not just once. He would always say it constantly, like at least 2 or 3 times the entire time I was helping him, like like trying to get him out the drive-thru and like giving, like, you know, money and everything. Every single time, it never failed. He'd be like, "You got a pretty mouth," and he was very Southern. And I'm just like, "Thank you." Here's your coffee, creepy man. Like, it was so creepy. And still to this day, it's just it's something I will never forget, because that's how creepy it was. It's creepy. Like, out of all the things I think I've ever had a man say to me, that's probably one of the creepiest ones. Which I guess I'm lucky, because I mean, I'm sure there's worse things. And I've been hit on a few times in my life. But no, that's probably the creepiest one. And he would consistently say it, and he would say it every single day. Like if he'd never said it before. That's the crazy thing. It would almost be like the same day was repeating itself over and over and over again. And I got to the point where I could not. And I would just, every time I knew it was him, I would always tell my coworker, "Please cash him out. Please. I know what he's going to say. I don't want to do it. Please cash him out." I would have to beg my coworkers to cash him out, because I could not take it anymore, because it was so creepy. Because when he said it, he would just like look at me like, stare at me, like expecting, I don't know, like, what were you expecting me to do? Go, yeah, like, like, no, it's creepy. What were you expecting me to do besides like hand you your coffee, like scared, like traumatized? This man traumatized me. Okay, I am still traumatized. Every now and then that comes through my mind about the time that old man who was like halfway in the grave told me I had a pretty mouth and just kept saying it over and over again. I used to go like this. I would catch him out and just be like, have a good day. Like I ended up trying to get creative because I'm going to wrap up this video by saying thank you so much for watching this video, and I would love to hear your stories. I will leave an email. I will leave my email down below in my descriptions. Please send me your stories, and if you would like me to do a video telling you about the stories that I've gotten, I am more than happy to do that. I am sure there are lots of crazy stories that people would love to share, and I am all for listening to your woes, even your creepy stories like that one, because trust me, I know we've all been there. And so yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. See ya.